Welcome to Bridging the Gap to Connections, the talk show, where we begin by sharing your stories and spotlighting your shine. Hello, welcome back to Bridging the Gap to Connections. And on today's episode, we have a returnee. I have the privilege to have Sam Mitchell back again, and we're talking a little bit more on therapies and in regards to autism. Welcome back, Sam. I appreciate you coming in again and diving deeper into therapies and how sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, and giving people more understanding behind it. I appreciate you and your time. So we had a little bit of a talk about this recently and was diving into it when we ran out of time last time on the show. And I want to just ask you to, if you can, bring us back to where we were and leave that space and start talking to us a little bit more about that.
Well, I've slept since then, but I think where we were is we were pretty much discussing the Gina Mitchell show, if I remember correctly, which is a show that is like Autism Rocks and Rolls, but instead of it being audio, it's video. And the show, the way I like to describe it, is like Bill Nye the Science Guy, said with science is with autism.
How interesting is that? So tell the audience a little bit about a show, because you have a couple now that you've already aired, right?
Right. It posts once a month, or we try to do once a month at least, but with life being so busy, it kind of has to sometimes be put on the back burner, but we definitely attempt to do it once a month. And we do it on our podcast episodes because what I've learned is, let's just be honest, a lot more people are into video than audio. And I was very stubborn, and I was wondering, who cares? Audio and video, same thing. But then I looked at that, no, it makes sense. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of people watch YouTube videos than listen to something like an audiobook. So I figured, well, this isn't about me. It's about them. I better adapt. So hence the Gina Mitchell show.
So in reference to the show, when do you air it so that people can actually view it and get on board with you and your mom and what you guys are doing?
Like I said, it's once a month, but it really doesn't have a set date. All I can tell you is expect one each month. It's September. Well, it just started October, so you expect one sometime this month. But every November 1st, I would recommend start looking at Vimeo, which is where you can find it too, Vimeo, and see if it's there, because it will come one day. It may be late, but as they say, better late than never.
Exactly. It's always better late than never. It's still the momentum of us checking in, right?
Yep. We've been through that a couple of times, haven't we?
We have. We've had quite a few of those recently on my part. You know, I love the fact that in the line of work that we do have the privilege to be able to roll with what we're dealing with, right? We can actually always revisit a point where we can actually engage and be everything that we need to be. And I have a question though, knowing that we had this where we had a couple setbacks, being autistic and having the setback, I think it would be really beneficial for the audience to understand how sometimes that can be frustrating in the life of someone who's autistic. So I know that that can create conflict sometimes without good communication. So can you explain to people the difference if someone doesn't take time to talk to you about how you feel, what's happening?
Correct. So we do have a trouble with a change in routine. We don't like it. But for someone like myself who might have a higher understanding of the world than some, if it's not a big deal, I won't budge on it. But when it matters, it's very strict, and I will not be a pleasant person to be around if that gets changed. Like if I have to go to a conference and I paid my money and all of a sudden they change the date on me, yeah, I'm not a pleasant person to be around. I will throw a fit. And I say a fit, I don't mean bawling my eyes out. I mean screaming, cussing, pissed off, I could say that.
Right. Because would you say that that it's uncontrolled, that you do not have the ability to stop that when it happens?
I would say sometimes no, but sometimes yes. It all depends on how severe it is. It's all circumstantial.
Perfect. I want people to understand that no matter where we're at, it's going to be different for everybody. Everyone's reactions are going to be different in their autistic response.
Right. And a lot of it is the money ordeal. It's when I pay my money and then I don't get paid back for it, or it's not refundable, or you have to get it back, because getting your money back is a pain. Let's just be honest.
Right. Well, it's the principle. You get hung up on the principle of a subject.
Yeah, it is a high principle. I paid money, so you need to do what I paid you for.
Exactly.
I felt bad for my cousin. She ran into this. So she was going to see Aerosmith, but unfortunately, the lead singer got laryngitis. And thankfully, she got her money back. But I bet you, if that was me, I would have been so aggravated because, again, we paid money.
Well, you also invest time. You've rearranged your schedule. You've put yourself in a position that you've now prepared yourself in your mind for something exciting. And then something is removed. And when that excitement that we're building gets removed, it leaves us feeling vacant, right? We feel a loss. For us and for others, that are out there, when they go into that place, they feel the loss of it, and that loss hurts. And we react big. And it's okay. That's just who we are. To have big emotions, autistic people have big emotions. We literally feel things to the fullest extent. It's not just a situation. It's not just a moment. It's everything, because we fully commit ourselves to it in our entirety, right?
Oh, yeah. That makes 100% sense.
So, when you feel your big feelings, it's amazing, that you are so engaged. And I think a lot of times, would you say that it's frustrating when you realize most people don't put that much effort and energy into things?
Yeah, it's pretty aggravating. I think we live in a world where a lot of people think everything gets handed to them, and it's not the case.
At
It's
all.
not the case.
Not at all.
You have to work for what you want.
Exactly.
It's aggravating that I see so many people, they think, I'm going to go stock shelves. Whoop-de-doo. Really? You don't want to take that extra step?
Right.
Come on. Don't get me wrong. If you want to stock shelves, that's fine, but that's just not who I am. I'd rather go above and beyond stocking shelves. But I also get it because, trust me, we need people to do that job, because I don't plan on doing it anytime soon.
Right. Right.
Well, actually, take that back. I might stock shelves. Just don't put me behind the cash register.
So when we were talking about therapies, can you share maybe some like what therapies were for you in your development? What kind of therapies were important for you to begin, and which ones worked and which ones didn't?
So I know I did OT. That one was pretty helpful. That was the only therapy I did. At the time when we researched it, the therapy wasn't getting really pinned as a positive. just because I think some therapies like ABA have their own standpoints. Some people say it's great. Some people think it's too controlling and it's taking away their quirks because I believe, okay, should you manage anger, anxiety with medication? Sure, I get it. Or should there be some tips? Absolutely. But should you get rid of it? No. That's a part of their character. I'm sorry, but buck up. Not the person who has it, the other person. Buck up. It's their character trait. How would you like if I try to get rid of your niceness? Or the fact that you sometimes don't understand something simple as the difference between chocolate and vanilla ice cream.
So, in reference to those therapies, what would you say? What is involved for therapy?
Can you say again?
What is the actual actions, the involvement of those therapies? What are those therapies?
Well, ABA is applied behavior analysis. They try to teach you skills on how to manage your bad behaviors or your quirks. So maybe those on a spectrum flap their arms, they try to do something else. Or maybe they act out and just can't sit still. They try to find a way to make you sit still. And my view is if it's not harming anyone, who cares? I mean, if you can't sit still, who's it hurting?
Well, being in classrooms when you were growing up, if you couldn't sit still or there was another kid in the class that couldn't sit still, how distracting was that from you in education?
I didn't really have that problem. I was able to sit still.
Okay.
But I didn't want to. I had to, though. And I was able to do it.
Okay. So that one wasn't one that you really dove into. But if you were in your classroom and you were learning, did you ever have others who were in your classroom who couldn't sit still?
Not through me, but I believe my mother did.
Okay. Okay. So we're just going to go with the ones that affected you. What was your favorite therapy for yourself?
Like I said, it's probably OT because that's the only one I did. And I did speech. I forgot to mention that. I'm glad I reminded myself on that one. I did speech therapy, and that was to help out with social cues, which made it better, but not 100%. There are still times social cues go
like over your head. Yes, like it's like a jet. It just flies right on over. If we don't have a jet net, we're not catching it, are we?
No, ma'am.
Like, so when you are faced with a complication in working with others in the middle of a video and technical issues come up, how do you tackle something really big when it's on the fly and you know you're on record?
Oh, here's a great story for you for this answer. So my latest guests were awesome. Well, where my connection was, it wasn't cooperating. Was not cooperating at all. And it's because of our connection. I still hate my internet. But what happened was it was doing so good, and all of a sudden went out for a minute. And then it loaded back, and I thought we were still recording. Failed to look at it, and my brain, okay, we're recording still. Finished it, looked back, I thought, wait a minute. Where's the other part? Looked back, it didn't record. So I thought, okay, we got to do something because I can't record here or do my job here because this clearly isn't working. So the way I solve it is immediately. What did I do? Without my mother's consent, I literally grabbed the table of my equipment and moved it to a different place without even considering what else was going on. Thankfully, my parents stopped me and we were able to move it that night, but I had to do something, or otherwise I knew I wouldn't be able to move on from that piece of internet not cooperating, and I'll be worried about the next episode. Is this going to do it again?
Right. Right. So you have recently had that endeavor and you did find a solution. So you had help. here's what we want to focus in on and what you just said. You were so overwhelmed that you were looking for the instant result. You wanted the result instantly. So those who are suffering with autism need an instant result because
Yep.
we're just in that place of now. It has to happen now. And because this is the only way it will work, right?
Yeah,
When
or we don't function, or we will not move on.
it
What we
lost.
will do literally is be stuck on that topic. And the minute you try to speak to us, all we're going to hear from is about that topic.
Right.
If that thing did not get moved, you would not be able to speak to me because the minute you did, all I would bring up is, hey, can you move that table?
Right. Because you get fixed. You have it, you see it, you have a tunneled vision to what it is so that you can create the solution. I think that it's really, it can be a positive for those who deal with it, and it can be a negative. It can be like a double-edged sword sometimes in our life. Because if when we're overwhelmed, our brain works on hyperdrive, right? And we can figure out solutions really quickly. But when we have to deal with those around us, the situations, whether or not we can actually move upon the actions in which those little details that slow us down can actually become over the overwhelming piece. And
Yeah, that's what I have to work on is slowing down because trust me, I've tried and it never has worked.
so, have you ever considered when your brain starts going tapping or counting?
I mentioned we talked about this before, and the minute I count, it gets working up. It has reverse effect on me. So it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And
Oh,
it's
see,
when I get to one, it's volcanic eruption. Now, thankfully, I haven't got to one, so I stopped myself.
oh, okay. See, this is the stuff that people need to know because
I
we,
think because of the stimulation is why, because we're so stimulated, now everything in our power takes stimulation. Counting backwards during that time span, it takes energy to do it.
right. Wow. See, I love the fact that we can discuss this and actually break it down and look at what's going on internally. How are you doing right now?
Internally, we're doing decent. I mean, can't really complain so far.
Good. Good. Just making sure it's not an overstimulation because it is a lot of questions and a lot of questions can overstimulate. So I'm just checking in on you at the moment.
Oh, we're good. Don't worry about stimulating there.
Perfect. So we've talked about therapies, we've talked about the show. So share what's going on in Sam's world right now that he's really excited about. What has got you just thriving to keep going forward right now? What is a big deal for you today?
Well, I do have possible job interviews lined up. And if not, I'm going to find some more. So maybe get on the real world after a couple months, thankfully. See how that goes. I got a couple of special education conferences I'm going to speak at in November.
Oh, nice. You're going to be speaking soon.
Yep,
Which
finally. I wanted to do a little more sooner than later, but just didn't happen that way.
So, what is your next speaking event and where is it going to be?
So one of them is the case conference for the Council Administrators of Special Education in Oklahoma City. The other one is the same month, and it's just a special education conference. That's what's literally called. And that will be in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin.
That is awesome. So, you're going to be traveling, you're going to be going and seeing other places. So, and you're going to be able to actually share your information on bigger stages. How exciting is that? Is that something you thrive for? Do you love doing that? Or are there complications with that?
Well, I mean, there's some complications. I mean, the airport is a nightmare. I'd rather prefer to drive if we could, but if we can't, we got to do what we got to do because it's just not realistic to drive to Oklahoma without getting over sleepy and wrecking the car possibly. So,
Well, flights, do you use assists when you fly?
well, the way I solved that problem is because of the stimulus with people. I have kindly requested my mother to book daytime flights, like not afternoon flights because they always screw it up. Do morning and night because I learned something with that. In the morning, they're starting over. In the
Okay.
night, they're about ready to shut it down. Now, I'm not saying that's not the case. I mean, we still have delays that happen in the morning and night, but I think it's less likely to happen at that time compared to at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow. So being around a lot of people, I have a question. What is happening on the inside? Is it just the sounds and it's just overwhelming and it shuts you down? Or is it that you feel all the people around you?
Probably the fact that I feel everybody around me. And I would also say when you get bullied a lot in school and you get excluded, you remember pretty much everything. You get kind of scared to be around people and you don't want to deal with socializing because it exhausts you out. You're afraid you'll feel the same way you did back in school. So why
So,
go out?
oh, so that's what's happening. I'm glad that you shared that. That is something, you know what, I would love to sit with you sometime, not on camera, but just you and I to talk about reframing that. There are some things that I've learned over the course of my life I would love to share with you in regards to that. And just saying out there, for those out there, I'm an intuitive transformational life coach, and I help people who are stuck anywhere in their life to bridge themselves to where they need to go, no matter what lifestyle that they have. And what I was hearing with him right there is something I'd like to give him as a free service and to sit with him for like 90 minutes just to talk about reframing something and maybe giving it a chance to look at it in a different way. Because I know for myself personally, with a series of a lot of events in my life that were very, very hurtful and painful, I carried that pain for a very long time. And I know for some of us out there, when we have those stories, we get hung up. When we get hung up in the story, sometimes it keeps us from allowing us to move into other stories because we're afraid that we're going to experience the same feeling over and over again. And that was something he just said. So at a different time, I would love to spend like 90 minutes with you, just working with you on some things, Sam, that might help. You don't have to do it. It's just an offer. But I would love to reframe some things with you if you would let me work with you on that. And it's free. I'm going to give that to you for free because you've come
All
on
right,
the
we'll talk
show,
about that.
you know, and we can do it with her as well, with her present so that you're comfortable. But
Okay.
I know that we're down to the last couple minutes of the show, and that just came up, and I'm just really super excited for you for the things that you're going to be
And I
doing.
think the other
Speaking
part
of,
is too, before I don't mean to cut you off, is the control sense. When you're in a group setting, you're not in control of the conversation.
right,
I mean, when you're in control, like I have the wrestler Bill DeMott, he's not the sociable person because he's the exact same way. When you're in a wrestling ring, you're in control of the show.
right,
When you're not in control of the show, it kind of leaves you wondering, oh boy, here we go. I mean, look at a concert with Alice Cooper. Who's in charge? Alice Cooper.
right, because everyone's primary focus is the person on the stage.
Yep.
It's not on what's going on around them. That's an absolute fact. You just pointed out an absolute fact. Now, do you have anything else that you would love the audience to know about in regards to what's going on in your world? Autism Rocks and Rolls, any other events you have coming up? or anything that you would like for people to know about on how that they could proceed to connect with you again, especially if there's anyone who would like to talk to you about anything in particular?
Well, you can find me your favorite media platform. Not hard guy to find. It's Google me a search engine optimization. Something will pop up. And I just realized I do have an event coming up on October 13th. It's called Special Needs Night. It's where children who have special needs can come and feel the feeling of being at a pumpkin patch, because lots of those on spectrum and lots of those with disabilities can't, because they get overwhelmed by the people around. I can say that because I know that, for example, I just saw that happen. The last week we sold food and someone came who was on the spectrum and he left because there was music, too much people around. He didn't like that.
Right. And Sam, I just want to thank you again for just being an extraordinary soul, doing amazing things in the world and helping people to dive deeper into awareness and understanding of the world of autism. You are truly a special soul, and I have had the privilege and the pleasure to work with you over the last month and a half. You are truly an amazing soul, and I will keep connected with you because you've become a new friend. You're definitely a new buddy in my world, and I appreciate you so much.
Not a problem. I'm glad I could be.
All righty. I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us on another episode of Bridging the Gap to Connections. Until next time, bye for now.